Hey, welcome back to This Modern Mystic. We're happy
Welcome.
to have you. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about the pain of growth versus the pain of staying where you're not meant to be. So, a lot of times, this conversation comes up really in the beginning of the transformation process because when we're in a transformation, there's a lack of clarity. There's a sense of I don't actually know what I want. I don't know how I got here. I don't know if I should do this or that. There's some uncertainty about who we are. And that transformation of like our identity and the behaviors of who we want to be are all in flux. And so it's very normal to have the sense of like, I don't know. And I'm not sure. And a lot of times because that happens because we're reclaiming a sense of who we want to be and a sense of our own identity versus who we've been. And usually, this is a process of our identity transformation. This is the nuts and bolts. This is the gooey stuff that we get into in our courses or our personal work with people because it can get confusing. So having a guide or a coach during that or a mentor is super helpful because when we need to relearn our intuition, our guiding self, our inner self that guides us, we're reconnecting with that. And the biggest thing that we have to reconnect with is like, what is my pain telling me? Should I stay here or should I go? Should I keep trying or am I wasting my time?
And I think a lot of times, in order for us to move forward in our transformation, at least in my experience, to get to where I am today, right now, is that I went through a lot of core wounds, they call it. Oh, and I wish I had these written down because there are some very core ones, and the biggest one I had would be rejection. If you guys know me, I'm adopted, so abandonment and rejection are kind of hand in hand with that kind of life path that's been taken. And so rejection and abandonment, and anytime I share my ideas, and if somebody doesn't like it, then it used to trigger like hotcakes right away. Like I didn't feel worthy, or oh, what's wrong with me? But not in a conscious "what's wrong with me,"
Yeah.
but in a defensive manner of "what do you mean you don't like my idea?"
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? What's wrong with it? What are you trying to say? Be argumentative about how somebody else felt about my idea,
Mm-hmm.
right? So then there's the pain, right? There's the pain right there. So would it be easier for me to dive into that pain in order to move forward to change, or do I want to stay where I'm at and always be combative and not somebody that you can have a close conversation with, because as soon as you touch that little nerve, I flare up. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at, right? With the staying through the pain or the uncomfortability of where you don't need to be at.
Yeah, because a lot of those, like you said, those triggers are very much relational. Like
Hmm.
when we're going through these transformations and we're healing really honestly past trauma, it's because of relationships usually.
Yeah.
It's a sense of not feeling safe in the relationship to express ourselves or not being validated, being condemned for how we think or feel or things like that because we didn't fit into that, mold of thinking that was there. What we need to do though is say, okay, if I'm say, say Soul with that example is trying to find an investor for our business, right? You're going to go through rejections. We're going to go through like meetings where people are like, but what do you mean about this? Or they're going to question. And if
Which they should do.
right, if he doesn't have the skills, the personal skills to step back and not take it personal and he just starts being triggered, well, then that investor is never going to successfully be booked, right?
Hmm.
And so the pain of the growth in that situation is okay, this is uncomfortable, but I'm going to breathe through it. I'm going to listen to what they're saying. I'm going to take their feedback. I'm going to go think about it, talk about it. I'm going to maybe even practice before I go to a meeting
Hmm.
my responses that I could have if they say certain questions or start to seem like they're pushing back. That's the pain of the growth. That's like, when you're starting to work out and you're going to go to the gym because even though you're still sore a little bit,
Hmm.
you're going to keep going because you know that it's going for a purpose. That's different than the pain of not being where you're supposed to be. So
Hmm.
let's define what that looks like.
And I'd like to do that with the same, talking to investors thing, because that's honestly some very real shit that's going to be happening, right? With us expanding our business. So I think that's a good way to go. So let's say I'm not willing to go through that pain. What does that mean? What kind of pain are we going to live through then? What kind of pain do I have to live through now because I'm unwilling to listen to investors or people's criticism of my work because I take it so personal as a self-esteem issue. So then that means I don't take any chances to grow my business, right? That means we're stuck doing the same thing, just doing videos and doing the same thing over and over again because I'm not willing to push myself beyond the uncomfortableness of being criticized. Or it could be good feedback, but it feels like criticism. See what I mean? It's just a perspective because of my inflated emotional body. When it comes to people talking about my work, I could either take it as criticism or I could take it as words of advice. Or I forgot what that other was, the other word. Positive feedback or positive criticism, they call it, or something like that. But
So other ways that so there's this sense of, if he were to just avoid those type of meetings and then be doing the same things that he's always done, then there's this sense of like, I know I can do better than this, or I know that this isn't working. There's a sense of you feeling unfulfilled because you can do better and you can do more, but you're just scared or whatever it is that's stopping you. And those are the type of limits that you would have help with us to figure out and sort out, because our own limitations are hard to see when we're looking at ourselves, because fear is very strong and it's very crafty in the way it shows up. So it's like it's hard to see in ourselves because it seems rational. Like, well, it makes sense that I think this way. And it makes sense why
they wouldn't pick me anyway.
Yeah, and it's like, well, but if you're looking from the outside, or if you take a bird's eye view, when we take the emotions out of it, we can see patterns, behaviors, things like that, attitudes, belief systems that are limiting us. And that's the type of stuff that you get when you work with us one-on-one or in our mentorship courses. That's where the real shift happens. And that's honestly sometimes like the other pain, right? It's the pain of the growth, because it's like, okay, but why am I not willing to do this thing that I said I want to do? Or why am I not willing to practice these new behaviors or go to the gym? Or why am I not willing to clean my house or eat healthy when I say that I want to live life a certain way, right? And those conversations with ourselves, it can be really hard to have. I mean, it doesn't have to be hard, but we make it complicated by judging ourselves or being critical, or, saying, oh, we should have done this, or see, if I was better like my sister, then I would have done this, right? Or whatever the story is.
Yeah, and I think what popped in my head was when you said, you try to do something. With a mentor, with people that have been through it, there's always a tell. Like if you've ever played poker, a tell is like when somebody has a hand, they're bluffing because they do something like they might spin a pencil, or they might knock the cards on the table, or something like that. Now, let's say behavior-wise, a tell when you need to go do something like, I should really upload this information to my website, but you know what? I got to go sweep the floor. You find something to do other than the thing that you need to do. Yeah. And that's a tell. Or procrastination. I'm hungry. I want a sandwich. Yeah. Or I need to get something to eat. That's a good tell. And and especially here in America, but just so you know, your stomach has the most, what is it called? Endorphin releasers in your stomach. They have the most receptors for endorphins in your stomach. So when you're feeling bad, that's why they say comfort food and all that. And you eat it. It's something that we do. So if you find yourself running to the kitchen when somebody confronts you about something that you need to do or whatever, if you find yourself running to the kitchen when you're faced with something that you feel like you should be doing, and you decide to run to the kitchen instead, that might be one of the scientific reasons why you pick that. Yeah.
So a good question that you can ask yourself or journal about is, okay, when I'm feeling discomfort, what distraction do I go to? Yeah. What excuse do I make? Yeah. What behavior do I procrastinate with, that's a telltale. It is. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. And that's something that you should track and kind of figure out. So,
And that fits right in the rid wave. What do? You recognize, right? You recognize that that's what's happening. You identify.
you recognize, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go
You
ahead.
recognize the discomfort
Yep.
physiologically, then you identify your behavior because of the discomfort, and then
You decide to do something different.
Make deliberate new action.
Deliberate new action, yeah.
Or another reason that this comes up in our coaching conversations or mentoring conversations is because people don't know when they need to stay the course or quit. And it's really important that you know where you're at in your own process. And that's what I write about in my upcoming book. So watch out for that. It's on the process or skill of transformation. And it's about knowing yourself. This is a big piece of it because we have to create that sense of safety within our body. Because when you hit that wall of discomfort, or when you hit that next milestone and you're like, oh shit, I don't know what to do, your alarm systems are going to start going off because you don't know yet, right? And this is where some people are really good at having a learner's mindset and where some people aren't. Oftentimes, the people who are good at it had good parents, kind parents that allowed them to explore and learn.
Or a mentor or something. Yeah.
Or they had really negative criticizing parents or teachers. So it's really important that we figure out, okay, what do I do when I get uncomfortable? What can I do instead that's going to bring my body back into a state of calm? Because you don't want that discomfort that's already been programmed into your body to stop you from doing the things that you actually need to do to move forward. Like he said, do I just get dysregulated and then just shut down and not finish building my website? You could do that. But then what about a month down the road and all of a sudden you still don't have a website and you're stuck at that job that you hate, right? And you have yet to keep building. And as entrepreneurs, some of the best advice is always learn to go quicker. Learn to have a smaller reaction period.
Refractory period.
Yep. Yeah. And that's something you talk about. We just did a video on that, actually.
Yep. Go back and look through our videos. We do talk about the refractory period, emotional.
Right. So it's having a quicker, like, you trip and you get back up. You trip and you get back up. And that needs to be quicker and quicker and quicker because it's not as personal as it feels.
Yeah.
It's really not, but we know that it feels very personal.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was crazy, and I say this a lot. It has to do with maturity. I'm sorry. It's like your development, as the more you're able to develop, and it's not a cut down because I've been very undeveloped in a lot of ways. Like us doing this modern mystic together, being married together, living life together has all been a practice in everything that we talk about.
Yeah.
Our life, everything, the things that we've accomplished, the things that we're striving for, the mistakes that we've made have all highlighted things in myself that I needed to develop. And I'm so grateful for it though, too. Like I'm grateful because I feel more sure of myself as a man, as a human being, as a father, as a husband, as a person, because I understand these things now. And I'm willing to go through those uncomfortable things in order to develop myself into what I want to be.
Eventually, you'll get to the point where you're like, all right, I see it, bring it on.
Yeah.
I see that this is going to fuck me up.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
I know that I'm going to start reacting this way and this way. So we'll even say, like, okay, I can see that this thing is coming down the road.
Yeah.
And this challenge is coming, but
it's coming.
Help me stay aligned. Help me, right? Like, or I'm going to have to do some extra spiritual practices this week because I know that I'm being challenged in these ways.
Yeah.
And that's the art of it. And then that's being a modern mystic. That's being able to transform who you are.
Yeah.
And the alchemy of it and not get burned by the fire.
And that's true consciousness. I think that's so simple. It's not simple when you're going through it, but it's just simply being able to see something happening and understanding where you're at with your action or reaction to it, right? And sometimes because we're willing to know thyself, then we're able to have a different outcome because the frequency that we put out is different than the victimized, oh my God, the world is falling apart. Different than that. So then the frequency is different and we're able to see opportunities that we weren't able to see because we're covered up waiting for the blow. You know what I mean?
So play offense, not defense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And we're even learning even more about that now. It's an ongoing thing.
All right.
Yeah.
I hope that that's helpful. I trust that that's helpful.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I trust it's helpful too.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. Good stuff.
Let us know how it lands and let us know if there's any follow-up questions or thoughts that you guys have. We can make more videos or we can see about, joining our program soon. So
yeah,
we'd
I'm
love
excited
to hear from you.
All right, peace.
Yeah.